Hey guys, it's Bridget. Welcome to Fairy Grasshopper channel. I hope that I can inspire your spirit today and fill you up with some hope. Let's start with a chat. Let's have a conversation. So from time to time on this channel, I will share some throwback stuff, some of the content from some of my series, my classes, some other talks and things that I've done over the past 16 years of doing psychic, intuitive, mediumship, and coaching work that I think, hey, I'll take one part of that particular class and share it with you. And I've done that a few times with some of the angel conversations, talks, and chats that I've had here or that I've shared with you on video. Parts of classes that I've offered previously, and also most recently with chakras. I've shared a couple of talks from a course I did about chakras, and some of my channeling too that I've shared here, some deity channeling that I've done with some saints or goddesses specifically, have come from other opportunities that I've had in the past to help educate and mentor others who are on this spiritual path. And so from things like my Moon Club group to my Divine Woman group and those types of those types of groups. So I hope you enjoy that when I do that. But then I look really different, don't I? I look so different. My hair's like longer. I'm either heavier or I'm quite a bit thinner, or, 16 years is a long time. And actually, Fairy Grasshopper channel I've had since like 2012, 2013. And my other YouTube channel, Above Life channel, is very focused. It's about mediumship, about afterlife connection with famous people, because oftentimes what I've found that's a great way to encourage people to connect with their own intuition, their own spirit, is by getting inspired by someone else that they look up to or they're curious about, or who's lived a life that's very public, and to kind of get that unique perspective from their afterlife experiences reflecting on their human life, I think gives a lot of encouragement to people. So that's Above Life channel on YouTube, and that channel grew quick. Fast, in 2 years, it went from 5 subscribers to I think I'm at 14,000 now. So it was boom, big. So apparently focusing on a specific thing, a specific part of my psychic work really, I guess, helped on the YouTube front. But Fairy Grasshopper is a place here that I can share all things intuitive, things about my psychic life. I can share vlogs. I can talk about energy work. I can talk about forecasting. I can talk about angels and starseed energy. I can talk about current events. I can do card readings with you. I can talk about crystals and rocks and stones and other tools. I can share just a whole bunch of cool psychic stories with you here. I have a lot of creative leeway on Fairy Grasshopper, so I love it here. So thanks for being here and for watching today. Of course, I think I will share some cards with you. I wouldn't call myself a reader or anything like that. I've never really I shouldn't say never. In the very beginning of my psychic work, I did not use cards at all. I've never really used tarot. I've never learned about tarot. I know there's lots of lineages. I know there's a lot of uses, all that. I've never done anything like that specifically, especially early on. I guess some of my Divine Feminine work could be, I have a deck that could be classified maybe as a tarot deck because it's focused kind of on a lineage, but it's not like traditional tarot decks. It's different than that. So I used to think that card readings, people that use cards, it was like cheating. Yeah, I know, super judgmental, but it's the truth. Hey, what do I share with you? The truth, even if you don't like it. It's the truth. I'm not exactly particularly proud of the fact that I thought people that used, card decks were just somebody with a card deck, and not a psychic per se. And so I thought it was cheating. Why would you use a card? Why don't you just use your third eye? Why don't you just listen to the spirits? Why don't you just connect with intuition through your heart chakra. Why don't you just do that? Like, I just assume that everybody, like, that's just like, if you're going to do a reading for someone, of course you would be a psychic person, but the truth is that's not really the case. You don't have to be a quote unquote psychic in order to do a card reading. You can access information through cards, just like a tool. Like if you need to hammer a nail into the wall, you get a hammer. Simple as that. It's just a tool. And early on, I just thought that it was kind of weird. I thought, I was talking to dead people and all, but I thought using a tarot deck was creepy. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Like, where's the logic in that, Bridget? Where's the logic? Yeah, there's not much. And so over time, especially when I started working with angels, I started becoming aware that angels were around me a lot. That's when I got a deck, and I got a first card deck, which was an angel deck, and I just thought it was so inspiring. And then I, not long after that, got a card deck by Denise Linn. So she was one of my first 2 card decks that I had ever gotten. So, and that's kind of the vein that I usually select my card decks from, is this energy of, for the most part, and especially early on, energy of simplicity. It's got to be simple, straightforward. It can't be complicated. It has to have like images or color that's vibrant or that speaks to me, and simple words or phrases, or just really simple, basic. It can't be like this complicated storyline like sometimes some of the tarot decks can get into. Now, as you go through and start to work with card decks, you might find that that's exactly what you like. Like maybe you're craving that ancestral connection and you want to really connect in with a specific type of guides. Like you have like a shaman kind of connection within you. And so you want to get cards that are like animal totem cards and tarot lineage that's specifically oriented to that area. And so then it would make sense that you learn some kind of a tarot structure or system of understanding, interpreting the information that you're getting. That would make sense. I totally get that. Now I get that, but it's taken me 16 years to get that, okay? Because that's only recent, like in the last maybe 2 years did I even kind of open up to this concept of, well, maybe tarot has its place, like a storyline or a kind of a structure. People sometimes really like to have a structure and like to learn a structure and then work inside of that. Now that's a bit analytical to me, like that's using your mind, which is great. Include your brain in your spiritual work, but it creates this like understanding in the mind, like it's a storyline that the mind gets. So understanding a tarot or learning a tarot, the brain loves that kind of a learning thing. So it does make sense. It does. I'm really more creative and expressive in the work that I do. I consider psychic work very artistic and creative. And so I think because of that, I like to have a lot of different I like to have a lot of room in my cards. Like if I had to follow somebody else's like guidebook. In fact, I rarely use the guidebooks. I mean, they're great to start with. They're great if you're just starting out, but I'm like, every once in a while I'm like, maybe I should read the card. Like I get an intuitive hit, Bridget, read the card, because there's a different level of understanding in the card than what I'm first interpreting. And so it does help you go a little deeper, but do not take everything in any cards that you ever use or any books that you use or any particular spiritual teacher or coach or guide or mentor as that's the only way. This is one interpretation. It's black and white. It's there. It's super literal. Do not take any one thing as the only way or as literal. And believe you me, I know, because I thought card decks were weird. Cheating, like seance stuff, like, okay, let me read your future. Like I really bought into the stereotype and the dogma around them. So I like to use cards and encourage you to do the same and to find the right decks that are right for you. I have a ton of different ones and I showcase a lot of them. And from time to time, I'll use the same ones over and over and over again. As you will see, you'll notice the patterns if you watch Fairy Grasshopper over the long term. There's patterns like where I will use the same ones for quite some time, or I'll mix in decks, or I'll be drawn to another deck, or I'll add in different tools like stones or rocks or word rocks, which by the way, I will put these links to word rocks and things in the description below so that you can get some for yourself if this is something that you like and you're interested in. So, all right, we're going to use the Denise Linn Sacred Traveler deck, as is one of my most favorites. I love the texture of these cards. To me, the texture matters, like how thick. Can you hear that? The board is, the wood is for this card. There's a lot of different types of cards that are out there, and some are really thin. These are nice, like good card stock, but they're also, they have kind of a smooth texture. They can glide very well together when you're working with the deck, and I love that. I also love the color of these, the mandala on the back. Purple, rich purple energy, and I really am a fan of Denise Linn. She's a Cherokee, and she has this very shaman, incredible soul connection that I really respect. So I like her work in regards to this card deck. So I have a lot of her decks. I don't think I have all of them, but I have probably 4 or 5 of them. All right, so the first one we get for us today is surrendering to the journey. When you work with cards, as you've seen me share before, you can either focus on the words or the imagery. Depends on where you go. If you're really in your brain, if you're very literal, use the words. It'll help you. But when I'm mentoring with someone or teaching someone about how to be more in tune psychically, I will start with the vision, the imagery, because color has meaning, it connects with energy, it gives a level of understanding that's different than what you will get from simply reading words. And so I look at the imagery and I would ask you, what do you see here? What stands out to you? Because that's the most important thing, the symbolism of the imagery, the color, what's the metaphor, what's the meaning? Symbol, symbolism, metaphor, meaning. So this happens to be the image on the book. So this was the lead card for this particular deck. And so what that means then, it has a different, deeper level of meaning. See, I'm making a connection to these two, all right? I'm making a connection here. Leadership, that there is a strength within you that is calling you forward at this time. The fact that there's red and green here, to me, that's a lot of earth energy. When I've seen the earth lately, the earth energy has been so green, rich green, lush, opportunity, flourish, abundance, and red, rich red, root chakra, deep into the belly of the earth. So inside the earth is red, rich red, that magma at the center of the earth, and then the green is on the top of the earth. So it's us, a reflection of us, deep inside your core, your belly, your spirit, and outside. What are you expressing to the world? What are you showing to the world? Here, I would say you are covered up. Look at your head. You are protecting yourself. You are cloaked with the red. The inside of you is a protective layer over you. Instead of it being deep inside, right now it is actually your spirit is holding you close with connection with Earth, Mother Energy, to support you and protect you as you are on this journey, as you are embarking on this new state of being. I'm also going to say that I'm noticing that big circle up there, that big yellow circle. It might be the moon, it might be the sun. Is it the beginning of the day or the end of the day? That's your choice, how you interpret this. Is it a beginning or an ending? Sometimes they look very much the same, don't they? We're ending a phase and we're stepping into something new, and you're leading the way. And guess what? Your spirit is right there, fully present. That's what that circle represents to me. Whenever I see you, I see your solar plexus, which is your chakra, belly and center of your belly. That's the place where your solar plexus is, your spirit. And I see it as that circle right there. Whether it's the moon or the sun, I see it right there. Gorgeous. I am zooming into, there's 2 extra images here that I particularly like. One is the castle, because I love Disney. I love the castle. I love the energy of imagination and creativity. And that speaks to me. And so what that says to me is, Bridget, open up. Just be your creative self. Be your expressive, playful self. Just let yourself dream and imagine. Allow that creative energy to flow. And I see an owl in the tree. Do you see the owl? You see the owl up there? See that owl there? That owl to me is Isis. Goddess Isis, she's a deity, an Egyptian goddess, and she is one of the guides that I work with, especially when I work with women in my Divine Woman group. That Isis is always there. In fact, the owl and Isis both were energy spirit guides in our last Divine Woman session. So if you're a Divine Woman and you're watching this, hey, you guys, Isis and the owl right here. Here we go. The energy here of the water is also showing up. Like I feel that as an element very strongly. The fact that the water is a little more of it's a really deep blue. It's got a very kind of priestessing energy blue, very mystical blue. It's almost kind of going into a little bit of the violet purple. So I would say blue, the third eye, blue water, the depth of water, the mystery of things, the mystic of things. And the purple is the crown chakra. It is that divine mind, that divine wisdom coming together, working together. I'm also noticing the fact that there is a light, a lamp at the front. So that light is guiding you. You have a light to guide you. And that could be a symbolism. That could mean a light unto your path, that your spirit is, it's not just your spirit, your solar plexus, but could mean you have a spirit guide with you. And that yellow, the fact that it's yellow could be Archangel Uriel, Archangel Azrael, or Archangel Gabriel. So Uriel, Azrael, and Gabriel, all three of those archangels often will show up for me as gold. So Uriel works with your intuition, helps you with your intuition. And Azrael helps with messages from heaven to earth and earth to heaven. So for one of you, if you've recently lost someone, or if you've been particularly missing someone that has crossed over during this time of year, maybe there was a milestone you had and you wished you could have had that person with you to share it, you're feeling some grief there, Azrael can help you with the grief, can help expand and open your heart to the loving memories and not the sadness or the sorrow of the loss, but the amplification of the love from that relationship. Okay. And then we also have Archangel Gabriel, who's my kind of like a showman. He's like a Danny Kaye and singing in the rain kind of energy. Archangel Gabriel helps with the relationship, works a lot with women and children. So if you're a mom, especially if you're a single mom, Archangel Gabriel is an advocate for you. Gabriel will step right in and help you manage your relationship with your kids so that you can keep things flowing and balanced in that regard. So Archangel Gabriel is a great communicator and connector energy. There's one more archangel that also can show up sometimes as yellow for me or a little bit of orange. Now, just because I say for me that's how they show up doesn't mean that's how they're going to show up for you. It's however it shows up for you is how it shows up for you. This is just a starting point, and I'm sharing with you my perspective and my interpretations so that you can have a starting point, okay? There's no right way. There's only not one way to connect intuitively, to connect with spirit. It shows up the way that it's best for you. Got to be clear on that, okay? Got to be clear on that. So there's one more. He is an energy that is a life coach energy, and that is Jeremiel, Archangel Jeremiel. And Jeremiel feels like a Kenny Chesney. Like literally, that's what he feels like to me. Like super cute and just kind of unassuming, kind of just making his music, kind of hanging out. And when you need some support or some just advice or guidance, you connect with Jeremiel, and Jeremiel steps up and says, yeah. And he'll give you that nudge, that idea, that impulse to turn on the radio and the exact right song you get helps soothe you. It's like medicine, that music. Or all of a sudden you have this impulse, you're thinking about someone, so you reach out and call them, and they were like, I was thinking about you too. And it makes a beautiful connection, something you need at that moment. But advice and guidance is also very well provided by Jeremiel. And I'm going to say this too. When you're working with archangels and specifically, so I said Uriel, Azrael, Gabriel, and Jeremiel, you might use different names for those archangels as well. That's just a starting point for you. They go by many different names. That's how I know them. Okay. And you can request their assistance at any time. And one of you obviously has each one of these archangels helping to guide you during this time. This also feels like, this imagery here totally feels like one of my spirit guides, who's not an archangel, but she's an arc. And again, she goes with Divine Woman, my Divine Woman group too. It's Joan of Arc. I love Joan of Arc. She has a very strong advocacy vibe, hands on hips, boots on the ground. Let's take care of business. Let's take a stand here. Very leadership energy, Joan of Arc. That's that vibe. This is also who she feels like. So the words are surrendering to the journey. Surrender does not mean give up. It's just another way of saying release into the journey, unfold into the journey, flow with the journey. Surrender is not giving up. That's one interpretation of the brain. Oh, if I surrender, I'm not an active participant. Oh, no, you are. You're receiving the energy, you're flowing with the energy and not against it. You're not being stuck in your ways. You're open, you're fluid, you're flexible, you're willing to move and flow with the change that is showing up for you. And then the last bit of advice here is release control. Release, release, release. And what we could say is release to the journey. Release to the journey. Surrender control. We could swap those words around. Release to the journey, surrender control. These words are great to journal about. You can always connect in and go deeper and make this really your own by using your journal, by just getting your journal out and starting to write. And whatever is coming forward is your thoughts, bringing more additional information to you. Perhaps your feelings and your emotions will be comfortable to be released or revealed to you. There's lots of depths that you can explore if you use your journal as another tool, just like a card deck is a tool as well. All right, so this is Bridget. Thanks so much for being here on the Fairy Grasshopper channel. I appreciate you. I hope we've inspired your spirit and filled you with hope, and I'm feeling really inspired before we're done to pull a rock out of my bowl in front of me. This is a beautiful pink rock. Look at the marbling of it. Nice compassion energy, pink. It's very compassion energy. It's very soft, feminine energy. It's very loving and kindness energy. And the word here is integrity. Integrity. Lots of good words here. Surrender, journey, release, control, integrity. Release. Release, surrender. Release, surrender, integrity. Nice. Another good journal prompt, integrity. What does this have to do with the reading for you today? Integrity. How is this reading in alignment with you? How does it fit with you and who you are? That's how I see integrity, as an energy of who you are. In fact, the first time I ever did the word of the year exercises, integrity was my word. Yeah, integrity. This is one of the values that I hold. One of my core values is integrity. So. All right, so there you are. Thanks so much for being here. Be sure, before you leave, by the way, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, just subscribe so I know you're here in the community. So when I'm doing these videos, then I know it's you that I'm speaking to, and that you will take this information energetically and absorb it in, and it will truly inspire your spirit and fill you with hope and encourage you to live your life. Because this is your life after all, it's yours. So live it. Just live it. Thanks for being here.